friends, my name is Maya and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, I am so happy that you decided to click on this video. I hope that it's helpful to you and like and subscribe. So this video is not going to be long at all, but it's a testimony worth sharing. And so based on the title, I'm sure you know that today I'm going to be talking about my home buying experience and how God supernaturally changed my life, put me in a house that I didn't even know I wanted in less than 60 days. And so I want to start by first saying that I was an apartment girl, a luxury quote unquote apartment girl. I loved my apartment. I had no intentions on moving, and in fact, I wanted a car. But as many people know, it is not the best thing to purchase a new vehicle prior to buying a house. I didn't really have that revelation because I was happy in my apartment and I thought I'll live in my apartment for another 2 to 3 years. I'm happy here. But if you know anything about God, then you know sometimes He just has other plans. So for me, this was in 2023. And God told me that I specifically needed to consecrate. And when the Lord told me that I needed to consecrate, He told me very specifically several things that He was going to do in my life and complete them within 6 months. So one of the many things that God told me that He was going to do within 6 months was that I was going to buy a house. And I want to be very clear about this because, again, it was not something that I in particular had prayed for. I was not necessarily asking God for a home. Of course, in my heart, I desired home ownership at one point in life, but it wasn't anything that I was looking for immediately to happen in 2023. And in fact, I wasn't even really prepared. I wasn't prepared financially, I wasn't prepared mentally, and it really took me by surprise. But one day I was praying and the Lord spoke to me prophetically. And I asked God, Lord, I know you want me to consecrate. What does this mean? What does it look like? What are you requiring of me? And the Lord's response was a list of several things that He was going to do specifically in 6 months. And one of the things that He told me that He was going to do, or one of the things that He told me that was going to happen, was that I was going to get a house. And it's so interesting because when I was praying, I was asking God for instructions on the consecration, on the season, and what it was supposed to look like. And I wasn't really asking God for anything in particular, but He responded with a download of information, instructions, and also telling me some things that were going to happen in my future, specifically within this 6 month period of time. And throughout this video, you'll continue to hear me emphasize that because it was an absolute supernatural time frame. And so God just gave me a list. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. At the end of that list, the Lord literally told me, and I wrote it down, which is why I said He spoke to me prophetically. I wrote it down. I said, or the Lord said, and I wrote, and a house is coming to ... be on the lookout. Mind you, this is again a list of things that the Lord told me He was going to do within 6 months. And I wrote it and I said, okay, well, that's exciting, kind of strange, but that's exciting. And I just kind of let it be that. And so this was in December of 2022, going into the top of 2023. And so some months go by, and I completely forgot that the Lord had told me this. It was no longer on my radar again because a house it wasn't something that I thought was really possible for me at the time, and it wasn't something that I really was desiring in that moment. Again, I loved my apartment. And so when the Lord told me this, I was excited and I received it and I wrote it down, but I forgot. So fast forward, here we are in March of 2023, and I am looking for a car. I'm wanting a car, just kind of, figuring out what it is that I might want. I find my dream car. I absolutely fall in love with it, and I'm like, I want this car. What do I need to do to get this car by the end of the year? And so I'm living in my apartment, and things are going great. And I remember specifically, this was in March. and it was a Saturday. I don't remember what day specifically, but it was a Saturday. And I was at the car dealership, fell in love with the car. I called everybody that I knew. I called my dad. I called my best friend, another good friend of mine, one of my sisters in Christ. I called my mom, and I'm talking to all of them. And I'm like, I saw a car. I'm looking for a car. Like, this is what I want. And I'm like, I'm going to do whatever it is that I need to do to get this car by the end of the year. And so my dad responds to me, and he's like, are you sure? That's a big responsibility. And at the time, I didn't have a car note. The car that I was currently driving was paid off, and it had been paid off for some time. And so I got the luxury of not having a car note, and I felt that I was ready to move on and kind of upgrade a little bit. And so my dad was telling me, that's a huge responsibility. Are you sure that you want to take on a car and get a car note? Because once you do that and you do decide that you want to buy a house, it is going to be a little bit more difficult for you. And if you know anything about the home buying process, then you know that one of the things that the lender is going to look at is your debt to income ratio. And so the reason that people shouldn't really buy cars when they are looking to buy a home is because when you take on a car loan, it increases your debt to income ratio. And so all of those things are going to play a factor into what interest rate you get. And so the lower your debt to income ratio, the better your chances are of getting a better interest rate for your mortgage. That was something that I just was not really thinking about. I wasn't really concerned about that. It's not that I didn't care, but again, it wasn't on my radar. And I just want to pause here and say that I know that my testimony with buying a home is, again, it's very rare. It does not happen like this for most people, but I'm sharing this because I want people to know that God can do anything. And if He can do it for me, then He can do it for you. And so while some people, have to go through a much more strenuous process in the home buying journey, I just want people to know that the Lord can do anything. And if you submit your desires to Him, He will make it happen. And sometimes, even if it's not even a desire that you think that you want, the Lord will give you the desires of your heart. And so I'm talking to my dad, and I'm telling him, Dad, I really love my apartment. I'm not really thinking about a house right now. I want to get a car. And, by the time I'm ready for a house, I would have paid down my loan a little bit. And I'm thinking it's all going to work out. So in the midst of all of this, the Lord speaks to me again. And He drops in my spirit to go back and look at my journal. I didn't know why He was telling me this. He didn't tell me what to look for. He just said, go look at your journal. So I go and I'm just flipping through my journal, and I'm flipping through some of the notes, and I see the original instructions from my consecration. And I see the note that says, and a house is coming too, ... And when the Lord showed me this, I'm just like, whoa, that is absolutely amazing. It's mind-blowing because I completely forgot. And so here I am in the middle of this home buying process that I did not even really think that I wanted. And the Lord reminds me in the middle of it that He told me this was going to happen. And so after talking to my dad and talking to my friends, and my mom, I'm just considering it and still really wanting the car. And I'm praying about it, and I'm asking God, Lord, what should I do? I want this car. I'm not really thinking about a house. And when this is going on and I'm having this conversation with myself, with my family, and also with the Lord, I have completely forgotten that the Lord told me that I was going to get a house, among other things, and that He was going to do it specifically in 6 months. And so I am just going about my business. I leave the car dealership. I go throughout the weekend, and Monday comes. So here we are. It's Monday morning. I am in my kitchen, minding my business, and the Lord spoke to me in my spirit so clearly. And He said, you're going to get a house. And when He said it, it was so strong that I couldn't do anything but receive it. Now I was in agreement with the word of the Lord. And it wasn't that I didn't want a house, but I hadn't agreed with the Lord when He spoke it to me at the beginning of my consecration in the very end of December going into January of 2023. And so when the Lord spoke it to me when the Lord finally said it again, this time I actually received it in my heart as true. Now, here is where it gets supernaturally crazy. I received the word of the Lord in my heart as true that I'm going to get a house. And now I'm starting to think like, okay, Lord, well, if I'm going to get a house, do I need to, break my lease? Am I not renewing my lease? Now I have all of these questions, but I'm in agreement with him. And I decide, okay, I'm not going to get the car. I'm not going to focus on the car right now. I'm going to get a house. Well, that same day, my dad, who lives an hour away from me, just happened to be in my area, and he called me and he said, hey, I'm going to come see you. I'm going to come visit, and we could hang out a little bit since I'm close to you. Mind you, my dad lives an hour away, and so randomly he just happens to be in my area. Again, this is all just divinely orchestrated. And so my dad comes and we're talking, and I'm starting to talk to him, about the house, and essentially tell him like, I agree with you. I didn't tell him like God spoke to me and told me I was going to get a house, but now I'm just like more open to hearing what it is that he has to say and having the conversation about the house. And so it just so happened that there was a new build of townhouses that was close to where I currently lived. And I was telling my dad that, oh, there are these new construction townhomes near me. There's a neighborhood, and I can see it off of the highway, but I didn't know exactly where it was. And so my dad pulls up the map, or like on Google, whatever, and we're trying to figure out where these new development townhomes are. And my dad is trying to show me, and I'm just a girl. So I'm like, Dad, I'm not going to be able to figure that out. You can look at the map and try to figure out where these townhouses are. Since you're here and you're not usually on this side of town, maybe we should just go look at the houses. And now my dad is like, yeah, we can go. We'll go really quick. It was like 10 minutes away. So we get in the car and we go find the houses like that. It's 10 minutes from where I live. And now I'm touring a model home. I don't want to move past this too quickly because just a quick recap. On Saturday, I was saying I wasn't sure if I wanted a home, not even thinking about the word that the Lord gave me about getting a home. I'm at the car dealership. By the time Monday comes, the Lord speaks to me very clearly and says, you're going to get a house. I agree with the Lord. I say, yes, Lord, I hear you. I say, in my heart and in my spirit, I'm not going to worry about a car. I'm going to focus on the house. My dad just randomly happens to come in my area that day. And now the same day that I finally received the word of the Lord as true, I am touring a model home of brand new construction townhomes. Now, if you thought that that was crazy, please stay with me because it gets even crazier. And so me and my dad are touring these model homes, and I absolutely fall in love. I'm starting to see it now. I'm starting to envision myself in a home, and now I am just fully excited, and I'm like, yes. But again, I haven't been preparing for a house. I didn't think that it was going to happen. I remember, or happen that soon. I remember that God said that I was going to get a house, but the 6-month thing is still not registering to me. Mind you, we're 3 months in because the Lord told me at the very top of the year, essentially, we're in March. So we're already 3 months in this 6-month period that the Lord told me he was going to do this. And so I'm not even thinking about the timeline anymore, but I'm just thinking about the fact that I'm going to get this house. And at this point, this is when I really started to be human, and not in a good way, and not just be led by the Spirit of God, because I was excited about getting the house, but I started to think of, okay, well, how's it going to happen? Maybe I can end my lease or not renew. Maybe I'll go home and live for a year, like as if I was going to get this house at the end of the year or something, not even realizing, again, that I'm 3 months into this promise that the Lord gave me. And so we leave the townhouse, or the model home, and now my head is just spinning. I'm excited. I'm thinking about, okay, well, what do I need to do to make this happen? I want to put these things in motion. I need to start saving, just all of these things. Well, I get home, and that same day, we're still on Monday now, and now a realtor who I had been in communication with previously emails me. Again, I was not in the process of shopping for a home. My dad had a realtor friend who I had spoke to a year ago, very briefly, very randomly, about buying a home, but nothing serious. But this same day that I toured this model home, she just happens to email me and tell me that she's hosting a home buyer seminar the following Saturday. And so here we are, I'm touring this model home the same day that my dad just happens to be in my area. I get an email from my realtor that she's having a home buyer seminar and it's happening the Saturday of this very same week. And now my mind is absolutely blown. And I'm sure you can see where this is going. The Saturday comes and I'm at this home buyer seminar really within a week's time. So I attend the home buyers seminar. I meet with the lender that same day because they had one who attended the seminar as well to give a presentation. I get pre-approved and I immediately start working on my documents. And from there, within 2 weeks' time, I found a new construction, brand new townhome in a brand new community and was signing a purchase agreement. That might have gone fast for you, but I promise you it was just as fast for me. And you might be asking, well, where did you get the money from? How did you secure a down payment? Did you do a home buyers program and all of those things? Please leave a comment with any questions that you have, and I'm happy to answer. But essentially, I was gifted the money for my down payment. I did have to break my lease, but the Lord provided a way for me to be able to do that. After I signed my purchase agreement, I literally was told that I was going to go to closing within 60 days. I also want to mention that at the time I did have a job and I had a good job and I had the salary to, even be able to get pre-approved, but I wasn't really making money that would allow me to be able to afford my mortgage and live comfortably and do all the things that I wanted to do. And so I'm also happy to report that soon after I signed my purchase agreement, the Lord also blessed me with a new job. And so within literally a matter of 90 days, I ended up closing on my home, starting a new job, and the icing on the cake, I still was able to get the car that I wanted at the beginning of this whole process. And so that's my supernatural testimony. I know this went kind of fast, and I may have skipped over just a few details of the actual home buying process itself. But for me, it moved very quickly. Within a matter of 60 days, I decided that, or I received from the Lord that I was actually going to get a house. I met with a realtor, attended a home buyer seminar, got pre-approved. I was gifted money for my down payment, and I found a house brand new. I went to closing and I moved in. I say all that to say that God can literally do anything. Do not limit him. He is the same God that parted the Red Sea for Moses and the Israelites. He's the same God that had for fire to rain down from heaven when the prophet Elijah called for it. He is the same God that moves mountains. He is the same God that does miracles that are unseen and unspeakable. And he did it for me in my life. And now I'm in a home. I have a new job where I'm able to afford the mortgage. And it's been a year since I've been living here. And so I just thought that this would be encouraging for someone, that if you want something, or even if you think that you don't necessarily want it or that you're not ready for it, just be open to what it is that God wants to do. And he will bring you resources. He is the ultimate source of all things, and there's nothing that he can't do. And so if he did it for me, he can do it for you. Well, that's all I have. I really hope that you enjoyed this quick testimony. And please, if I skipped over anything that you want to know more specifically about, please let me know if you have questions about new construction, about pre-approval, about shopping for a realtor, what to look for. I'm happy to answer those questions or even make another video. So please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. See you next time.